I think in these trying times, we need Loki more than ever, but he keeps sleeping all the time. Oh, he's so cute. Well, I guess we can get started. Welcome to week 11 and 12 of Biomedical Ethics. What's that, you say? What do you mean there's not going to be a separate week 12 lecture? Well, actually, the next 2 weeks, we're moving on to Unit 2. Not Unit 2, what am I talking about? Moving on to Unit 5, Life and Death on Dying. And so you'll see that things are a little bit more streamlined here, right? So like usual, you have your discussion boards and whatnot, but you only have one PowerPoint for the entire time, right? So for both weeks, and therefore there's only going to be one lecture. I'm going to post the lecture like right underneath this PowerPoint, and then you'll be able to see it. Let's see, what did I write here? Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 11 of Biomedical Ethics and also week 12. Due to difficulties that all of you are facing with the total movement of every single class online, I decided to alter the pedagogy a little bit in this class. As you know, I made last week's essay a bonus essay. There's also a little more leniency on late work, so if you were late getting anything in on week 9 or 10, and really this week too, because I know some people are still moving around and you've got drama to deal with, I just want you to complete the work and let me know when you've completed it, and I'll give you full credit. You just have to tell me. So I noticed like some people were going on and finishing their week 9 discussion boards. And I noticed it, but I would like you to email me to let me know when you're done, so that I know I can go back in and change your grade. So I might go in and give you like a grade based on you not doing the work, but then you can just go back and complete it. And I'm letting everyone do that from week 9 and 10 and, week 11 too, why not? There's kind of what's known as like a soft deadline and a hard deadline. And I'm treating week 9 and 10 and 11 as having soft deadlines where I'd like you to submit this at this time. But a hard deadline for all that work is going to be at the end of next week. Because, you got to keep moving forward and all that good stuff. Okay, so another thing, again, there's only one lecture for weeks 11 and 12. This is because the content covered in these slides is the only content from the textbook we're actually covering for the next 2 weeks. And also you have a full film to watch next week. It's called $1 Million Baby, so I'm reducing our contact time here. That's a $1 Million Baby is like, 90 minutes and 2 hours long or something like that. And so I figure you don't need to hear me talking for 20 minutes or whatever on the slides in exchange. So let's talk about the assignments for this week, week 11. You'll notice that in this unit, you only have one discussion board post to do. This is for 2 reasons. One, this is a very heavy topic. Euthanasia and physician-assisted suicide is a very heavy topic, and it might be a bit much for you all to go out and find examples and personal examples of this, and I figure this is not the time to do that. And number 2, I figured that you all could use a bit of a break because I know that it's hard for all of your classes to go online at once, even though this class in theory was already online. I hope you can hear me. I'm recording this, so I hope it's recording. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. Okay, also please note that short essay 5 is now due in week 15 in the last week of class, and I've done this for the obvious reason as well. You've got a lot on your plate, and I want you to have time to adjust. Okay, so the short essay 5 is 3 pages, but it's due in week 15, and it should, by the time you listen to this, I should have recorded the week 14, or I should have, wait, no, it's not due in week 15, it's due in week 14. Anyway, so I should have recorded the week 13 and 14 lecture, and it should be live by then, but we'll see. Okay, you can't see my hand gestures that I'm making right now, which is the problem of this particular method of delivery. Okay, so the actual assignment, I didn't read the thing. You were reading chapter 10, Euthanasia and Physician-Assisted Suicide. That's page 648 through 666 of the text. The media you're assigned is Assisted Death and the Value of Life, Crash Course in Philosophy number 45. That guy's great. And then your discussion board post for week 11. Again, there's only one discussion board post. In this discussion board, you have to read one of the additional readings given at the end of the chapter, in addition to the reading from the chapter in the video. And I'll assign the readings to you. It's there. We just go on to week 11 discussion board. Ooh, look at that fast internet at my house. So you can see that I've assigned everyone their readings, etc., etc. Sometimes some people, there's some readings that are doubled up because there's only 5 readings that I chose to do for this week. The other 5 are going to be for next week. But you're familiar with this, okay? In your OP, you have to provide a brief overview of your reading and answer the assigned questions. Then you must answer by using citations as well as a real-life example that supports your answers, the questions from your reading. These answers must be at least 300 words altogether. You need to complete your OP by Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. And then you have to respond to your groupmates' posts from readings you did not do yourself, that you yourself did not read, and connect the post to the readings you did for the week. Be sure to respond to the people who responded to you, because that's nice. And these responses are all due by Friday at 11:59 p.m. That's the soft deadline. If you get it done by Sunday, just send me an email when you finish, and I'll update your grade. Okay. Let's keep going. For week 12, let's just talk really briefly because this is a double lecture because we're talking about week 11 and 12 today. So week 12. We're doing part 2. You don't have any a main text reading that everyone's doing for your discussion board. Okay, first of all, you have to watch this movie. It's on YouTube for some reason, and so I put the link, but you can also watch it on streaming platforms that are probably better quality. But I went ahead and put the link on there. It's from 2004. So there's only one discussion board next week. In this discussion board, you must read one of the additional readings given at the end of the chapter, in addition to watching the film. I will assign the readings to you. It's all online. In your OP, you must provide a brief overview of your reading and answer the assigned questions. Then you must answer. Great, writing there, Patricia. Dr. Patricia. By using citations as well as a real-life example that supports your answer to the questions from your readings. And then you must connect the reading and the concepts from this chapter to the film $1 Million Baby. This post must be at least 400 words altogether, and you should complete your OP by Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. You must then respond to your groupmates' posts from readings you did not yourself read. Connect the post to the readings you did for this week. Be sure to respond to the people who respond to you, and that's due by Friday of week 12. And just to point that out, there's the YouTube link, and hopefully it's still on there, right? But then everyone's got an assigned reading from the chapters. It's got the stuff there. It's all in the chapter. I didn't put the page numbers. I realize now that I haven't been putting the page numbers of this stuff, but you've all been managing to do it without me doing that, so I guess I don't need to hold your hands. Unit 5, Life and Death on Dying. NASA has recently opened up all their images for fair use, so this is the Crab Nebula, as seen by Herschel and Hubble. Isn't that pretty? Anyway, so we're moving on this week to Unit 5, Life and Death on Dying, and more specifically, we're moving on to Chapter 10, Euthanasia and Physician-Assisted Suicide. The topics for the next 2 weeks, therefore, are going to be pretty heavy. So in the rest of this short lecture, it's not really a lecture, but I call them that, I'm going to go over the different terms that you've seen in this text, and then I'm going to let you go. But let's go over some stuff together. Euthanasia, the definitions are here. So the definition of euthanasia is directly or indirectly bringing about the death of another person for that person's sake. So euthanasia, eu means good, Thanos means death. You might recall a certain character named Thanos who wanted to kill half the planet, or not just the planet, the universe. So Thanos means death. So euthanasia means good death. So it's killing someone for their own benefit because they're in pain. So active euthanasia is performing an action that directly causes someone to die, mercy killing. And passive euthanasia is allowing someone to die by not doing something that would prolong their life. So voluntary euthanasia is euthanasia performed when the competent patients, remember the term competent, voluntarily request or agree to it. Involuntary euthanasia is bringing about someone's death against their will or without asking for their consent, although they're competent to decide. And then finally, non-voluntary euthanasia is Euthanasia performed when patients are not competent to choose it for themselves and have not previously disclosed their preferences. Right? Involuntary and non-voluntary are not the same thing. Active or passive euthanasia, some contend that the distinction is crucial. Active euthanasia is specifically killing someone, but some say that passive euthanasia, that is, allowing someone to die, letting someone die, is not killing. It's just letting people die. The American Medical Association has sanctioned this distinction. That's the AMA, American Medical Association. Some argue that there's no morally significant difference between mercifully killing a patient and mercifully letting that patient die. So let that one sink in, right? Let's keep going. PAS, physician-assisted suicide. A patient's taking his or her own life with the aid of a physician. The American Medical Association has denounced physician-assisted suicide. Many people, including some physicians, support its use. To date, it's legal in Washington, D.C., and California, Colorado, Hawaii, Oregon, Vermont, Washington, Montana, and maybe more, as you know, this text came out last year. Physicians-assisted suicide. There is a survey in the text from 2014 of physicians, 17,000 in the U.S., 4,000 in Europe. And so 54% of U.S. physicians say that it should be allowed. 31% say it should not be allowed. 41% of European physicians say that it should be allowed. And 35% of U.S. and European physicians say that they would not give life-sustaining treatment if they considered it futile. Remember that word. And 19% said that they would. And there's a difference between what doctors think and what the public opinion thinks. So a 2018 Gallup poll says that when a person has a disease that cannot be cured, do you think that doctors should be allowed by law to end the patient's life by some painless means if the patient and his or her family request it? And so 72% said yeah, and 27% said no. So whether or not euthanasia is allowable depends on what your definitions of death actually are. So the traditional view is that death is a cessation of breathing and a heartbeat. But the standard in law and medicine is the whole brain view. An individual should be judged dead when all brain functions permanently stop. And then there's an alternative notion, that higher brain standard, right? And that's when individuals are dead when the higher brain functions responsible for consciousness permanently close down. So what you consider consciousness to be and where you consider it to be located becomes important if you believe in the higher brain standard and not the whole brain view of what death actually is. Active voluntary euthanasia. So there's arguments for it, and those come from the principles of autonomy and beneficence. And so that is respecting people's inherent right of self-determination, means respecting their autonomous choices about ending their lives. According to the principle of beneficence, if we are in a position to relieve the severe suffering of another without excessive cost to ourselves, we have an obligation to do so. But there are also arguments against this, and so there's the concept that there's a moral difference between killing and letting die. Killing is worse than letting die, so giving a patient a lethal injection to effect an easy death is wrong, but disconnecting his feeding tube may be permissible. And there's also an argument against active voluntary euthanasia that says there's a moral difference between intending someone's death and not intending but foreseeing it. It's kind of like the difference between murdering someone and letting them get hit by a bus. Right? You didn't drive that bus, unless you're driving the bus, and that's a different thing too. But you see the distinction? So in this case, it says the former is wrong, like actively killing someone or intending them to die is wrong, but it's permissible to not desire them to die, but seeing that what's happening here is going to lead to their death, right? So that's it for now. I am very happy that you are with us, and I hope that you're remaining safe and healthy and that you're washing your hands. It's just been me and the cats in this house for a long time, and while that's been nice, it's nice to see human beings. I would like to see one. Send me pictures. Send me pictures of your pets. Yeah, how about that? I'll give you guys a bonus. I'll give you half a bonus point on your final if you just send me pictures of your pets. Why not? Because you made it this far in the video. Okay, that's it. I will talk to you guys later. Goodbye.